Thank you for enjoying your sweetest moments, merging timelines. I'm your host, Melly Mells, an angelic melody Melanie, the airy fairy mystic. Today's message, family, is the part 2 of the I am I reading. Today I'll be using the cards, but I'm going to talk to you about my car first because I realized that I skipped over that. I also realized it was because it was a very vulnerable piece of the message for me, because as I'm using myself as its example, I'm also showing you that it's a lot of courage in letting people place judgment on your life, and whether or not they state it in the comments, they will always talk about it through behind the curtains, right? A lot goes on beyond the veil that we're in tune, at least the collective, to. The trick about being in tune to what's beyond the veil is to not let it affect what you have the ability to create. Some people came, family, to live in a box, and that's why they see themselves going home in a box. And it's as simple as that. Never let those conditions and confinement of others' expectation limit what you can experience in this reality. It's a very challenging thing to do, but I know you can do it because I know I can. So let's talk about my car. Mel, what's going on with your car? A whole lot. A whole lot, family. It's a catastrophe. So we're driving down the road, Mars and I, and the car shuts off. It's an EPC issue, electrical. So we take it to Audi. We get it towed there, but we wait until I get paid on Wednesday. And so it ends up there on Thursday, I believe the 25th. Not quite sure of the dates, but it ends up there on Thursday. And so on Thursday, the guys are looking it out, and they're really trying to talk us into doing a mechanical testing because they don't want to get to the electrical side and nothing happens there. So they talk us into this $600 diagnostic fee. Whoo, family, do you know how it feels when you go to the doctor and you got to pay your arm and leg just to be seen? That's how it feels when you go to the engineers. And partly because we know we're already in the mind frame of I have to make my living. And so I'm going to take from the persons that walk through the door in need and provide for myself through their desperation, right? And we all know, as we've played all of these roles, and I showed you in the last video, or the video before the I Am series, that this is how our world is ran. And we know it because we read it in the book, right? And this is why they say the book is a book of spells. But some people will still come and choose to play a part of its existence and end it there. But the world and the timelines are splitting, The people who came to make the bigger changes are putting themselves back together in order to be a part of this new world, and the others will go home in their box. I feel very, very confident in saying that to you because I know that I have a very big responsibility in empowering the collective that I speak life into, right? So anyways, they talk us into this mechanical issue, and the mechanical issue is to test the timing belt and the engine, just to make sure there's no faultation there. I'm not even sure if that's a word. But anyways, as you can imagine, it comes back that my timing belt is just fine, but there's a problem with the engine. And so they say we have metal or oil in the metal of our car, our engine, and it's no good, family. Now, that's okay. I can accept my losses. But what I have an issue with is that my car is a high brand car. I'm going to leave it private, but it is a high brand car. And my car never once told me I have an engine issue. It never even told me I had an oil issue. So my car was completely filled of oil. I do my oil checks regularly. Okay, and I don't get the cheap oil. So I get to this place and they tell me this. Fine. But the only problem I'm having at this point is I feel a little bit of disconnect. I feel divided. And why do I feel divided, family? Because you ever been somewhere and they write one thing but they say another? This happened to me with this company. They sent a recorded video, detailed video about what they were doing with my car. And that they then showed me had nothing to do with the oil and nothing to do with the engine. In this video, not one time was it mentioned. And the same video was sent to me Thursday, Friday, and Monday. My car was not seen on Saturday and Sunday. Our technician was out for the weekend. So come back on Monday and he is telling us that this is the issue I have. And then over the phone, he calls me and says, it's an engine issue. You need a new engine. So then, mind you, I'm very distraught. I don't know what to do, my family. I'm a little bit panicky. So I call Mars and we're trying to discuss what do we do. And we decide to have them postpone the rest of their search and we'll get a second opinion. So I'm at work on Tuesday when we decide to do this second opinion. On Tuesday, I call him midway, like at 12 o'clock, and I tell him I'm going to have a tow company pick up my car. Now, I'm not able to get there because Mars doesn't have a car, and I don't have a way there because I have to work to make means. So I'm having my tow company pick it up, and by the grace of the Most High, I'm not able to get my car because I have to make a payment. And the payment I'm making is through a card that I don't have in my purse. So I'm then having to wait. Sorry, Mars is texting. He gets quite upset when I'm not available right away. We're building on our internal world. So the foundations of the external world play a part of it, even as individualistic as we are. It's just the nature of the beast. So anyways, we are then getting the tow company. Didn't get the tow company because I had to wait until I got home from work, go get my card from home, and then show up. In between that time, my family, the Most High, has stepped in. They've orchestrated this person that picks me up in a BMW, and he hears my complaints. He tells me he'll go with me. He'll pick me up later on from work, and he'll go with me to look at my car. And he does. So he picks me up, and he luckily works on these type of cars. He's very comfortable with the linguistics, the language, because that's how they get you, family. Isn't that how they get you in every sense of business? Because we've all divided ourselves in different subjects. We feel entitled for the earning of that subject that we then use it as our leverage. Ooh, slippery slope here called life. But anyways, so we're doing that and we finally get to my car. My family, my car was just pushed out the door and thrown together. The ECU wasn't back in its socket. The valves weren't on. Something just dropped out of my pocket. I was thinking it's probably my headphone. It probably is. The ball was dropped. And that's symbolic for the ball that was dropped. So the guy is there talking, and he's asking them to do all the things and what have they done and show us the paperwork. And then he says to the guy that he pulls out the dipstick and the engine, the oil is low. Doesn't seem to have any oil in the engine, he says. So then he asks the guy, did you take any oil out of the engine? And he says, just a little bit. So then the guy that I brought says, please fill up her engine oil back to its comfortable level in order for it to be running. So they pour all the oil into this car, about 8 bottles of it, and it leaks out onto the floor when they walk away. So he tells me, go get them and tell them that the oil is on the floor. And then the guys say, oh, well, maybe we didn't put the plug back in. Okay. So they pull my car back into the garage and they hike it up, and then they realize that the plug is there. So what they're not doing is that they didn't put the dipstick, to my understanding, back in place, and so the oil was leaking out into this side. No problem, I suppose. So that's fine. They put the oil back in and they put my car out. By the time I get to the second person family, my computer's missing, my spark plugs aren't put back. What else happened? And I'm also missing compression in 2 of my cylinders. Mind you, they let my engine run dry. Completely dry. I'm going to stop this story here because it's a little out of my scope, as you can tell, especially if you've worked on cars. But I'm now going to have to take some sort of legal action because I'm at a loss. And because I don't know what was done, because I've been taken advantage of, because I don't understand the linguistics, the language, they're using their leverage on my desperation. This happens, company. This happens, company. This happens in companies. It happens in the covenant. And I've spoken to you about the covenant before, and I may seem like the devil sometimes, my family, because I'm so against the covenant. I think the covenant serves as a buffer between the people. And when there's a buffer between the people, family, when you go to put up a block, you're not even actually seeing that that person's not against you. It is actually the buffer that is creating a divide. Because why is it there to begin with? Some people know me for my we all talking shit reference, because it's very true. And the minute we clean up our act, and just like we clean up our eating, our discretion, our behavior will be a lot more presentable. But anyways, because we have this covenant, because they have that company, the people who have serviced me feel as though they are free of its judgment. They couldn't be more than wrong. Because at some point, family, we've all experienced this where a company doesn't really care about you. They will use you until they need to replace you because you no longer serve their higher purpose. Right? Just like we do in our physical ascension. We remove what doesn't serve our highest purpose. You're seeing the mirror here between the world and the shadow world and our world, the people. I hope that you guys see this here. It's a direct reflection of what's happening within our individual world because it's playing outside of us. It's the manipulation. It's the imitation. It's dirty. It's a dirty game called life. So anyways, we're going to get to this point where we'll find some sort of justice, and I've already claimed it. And the reason why I can claim it and speak so freely is because I feel free of what happened. I went to the shop that it's manufactured at, and I asked for their opinion. They gave me their best opinion, which was to do, instead of an electrical diagnostic testing, a mechanical. And so whatever happened on the mechanical side would be their fault. It has nothing to do with my electrical component, and it was not even recorded. So like I said, the same video was sent Thursday, Friday, and Monday. No updates until, of course, I said I challenge your integrity because you never gave me a recording and you never showed me. You only called me over the phone. And you imagine if you have received such information, how you feel, family. Remember when you ever received a phone call from the hospital? Let's say this is a vital moment in your life and you received the phone call from the hospital and they tell you just devastating news. They know you're not going to be able to come back. They've given you a death sentence. Who speaks death in us again, family? And who speaks life in us, family? This is the difference between the old world and our present world and our new world, right? Because the new world isn't around us. It is within the people who came to facilitate the 144 frequency. I like how Fleur has told us about this because I do resonate with a lot of the points that she said. She spoke of the covenant. She spoke of the year of 9 and the year of 8 and the year of 9. And I really do see all of this happening in sync. So I appreciate every single one of us who are working to provide the angles in order to become the angels of our land. Shout out to you. And if I never say anything to you, and if I never jump in your comment box, because I am in everyone's comment box for years, especially since 2018, I love all of you. I could be to tears when I say that I genuinely appreciate every bit of what you're doing. So my father world used to get annoyed with the things that we'd be accused of. And my mother world was always afraid of the things that she felt intuitively. It didn't have to be male or female, but one end was always covered. One that was always accused and another that was always afraid, because the war seemed more internal than it actually was. And again, I'm telling you that this happened because of the buffer. Because when you put up your hand against the other, you realize that the only thing that you're competing against is yourself. Because there is nothing here that we lack, family. There's nothing here that we lack. We've just been unable to see the judgment we needed within ourselves. You know, when you are hanging with people who cause you an area or space opening for darkness, it sees repeating itself. What I mean by that is that this broadcast, this condition, sees a way in between the two souls, the twin souls, the polarity. And instead of it allowing it to be its 360, it keeps it on a infinity loop, because it's then separated the two so that even when they were to see one another, they would have something in between that would block its clear vision. Sometimes I don't know how straight this message is going to be, but it can't be straight because it has to fit all angles. So I know that what I'm trying to do is going to be received with its pure intent. I try not to work so hard at it because it's just turning the wheel. And you have to trust that whatever the universe brings to you is meant for you. And it's going to come very quickly, family. It's going to come very quickly because it's from something way above you. And we're going to run at this thing that's coming. We're going to run to it. Like we're the world that has been working on its skill. The world of us that's been working on its skill for a while is going to be in the forefront to take action. It's going to be forced to take action for the new world that's created. And we've been doing this investigation. And this investigation, sometimes we block ourselves and block others because we've been standing still trying to receive its frame, right? This is like the collective being in this. You know how they bring you in the conference room and they say, we're going to do a meeting, we're going to do a huddle, and we're going to plan on something before we bring it to the world. And I feel like that's what our collective is doing. We don't have the privacy of a conference room, but we do have the privacy within the Most High, because like I said, everyone who comes to these messages don't hear it in its entirety. Because spirituality has become so trendy, you're going to see people who are on its wave just because they want to feel something. You're going to see some people on its wave just because you want to be seen as something. But you're the ones that are putting those things together within themselves to externalize what they see are then going to be the ones creating our new world. So those people are going to be in the collective communicating in this conference room. It's just a time and space that we share that others will try to tap into. But for some reason, family, and we thought through our rejection of our conditioning, we felt like they're rejecting us when really your rejection is still your protection. So those who don't receive this message are not in this realm of existence, and it is no shade to them. I'm sure that they should be grateful that they don't resonate with us, because in their mind's reality, we've took the wrong turn. I did tell you some people came to live in that box and go back to it. We did not. So the wheel is turning in your favor, collective. What you've been working on in your heart space, you'll calmly make the best possible decision for. Okay? So you're going to make the best possible decision within your own reality and find your own footing. You've done a lot of research and quiet investigation on the topics you may be discussing with the rest of us collectively. We're going to see an opening for this that we've been defensive towards. We're very, very true to our value and our passion. We know what it is that we want to see. I feel like this one's going to be a little quick, but it's also symbolic for what I told you. We're going to be moving very quickly. And remember, here comes that energy again of the Knight of Wands in reverse. Some people will see you moving very irresponsibly. I make decisions without pressure. But this is because what is for you is going to be hidden from them. Just remember that. You don't feel burdened in making the decision. You may be hung up in an uncomfortable position like myself. What I do tell people about this car situation is that you can tell that I don't feel any attachment towards the item because I'm so freely sharing such a loss to you. Some people know. Some people who follow me just because they want to know if I'm going to succeed or not succeed, those people know what I've lost. But through its release of that Ten of Wands energy, I don't hold tight to things, nor do I ever feel as though I will lack the chance to have them again. So let's get on to that. You're going to see you making these decisions that they can't make because they live in a box family. They came to live the way that was printed. Remember the blueprint of the old world? Blue's Clues. What's the future look like for the collective, Most High? All the praise belongs to you, Most High. Thank you for its shared message. So accept the loss emotionally, family. There's going to be a lot of things that you feel at a loss. But the loss that you receive only shows you more about what's around you. I'll share with you that I've expressed my loss with my family, at least the one that I stay with. And all the loss that I receive, the people around you will just look at you to accept that you've been wrong in some position because you haven't maintained its value, which they value materials, right? They value worldly success. We didn't come for this world, so we don't value it. It's nice, but I'm not going to kill myself if I don't have it. And that means in spirit too. So I'll move forward when the time is right. That's what it says. I will move forward when the time is right. I've expressed my need to my mom, and it broke my mind to realize that at a place where she's getting very happy, and I'm grateful because the last 10 years has been because of the separation of my parents. One was on a high and the other was on a low. I lost the relationship with the one on the high, my father world, just when I lost the relationship with the actual father world. It all came to a close for me. It all ended. I had to let go of it because I was his favorite in my mind. I really never was, but I was in my mind. And I realized that it was because I kept living for his validation, and I kept trying to say yes, yes, yes. Whatever you want, whatever you need, whatever I need to become for your validation. When I reached into my mother's world, it was through my darkness. And a lot of people may have heard me say it was my third person, and it was. Because the child, the inner child in me that was crying to become something came from someone who was suppressed. There's 3 angles, right? In time and space, and father, mother, child worlds. And I was crying to be seen and felt. And I feel like that came from her because she was never seen and felt by this person. All they saw is that she kept wanting more and more and more and could never be happy. And he just wanted to feel free. So getting through that moment where I part myself from this is the loss that I'm taking today. Because now I've seen them both through where they say they're happy. I've seen this through. I felt responsible for its separation because I wanted to tell it in a separate story, but I'll just say it here. When I came into reading tarot, I had my son in 2017. When I had him, my mind shifted. I had a boy. And men represent thought, women represent feeling. So I believe when you have a man, it's to change your thought pattern. And when you have a woman, or a girl, it's to change your feelings. And that's what you need in order to evolve. So he helped me change my mind frame. Between him and myself, I then identified with the next passage I would take. And that's because the love that I was receiving prior to it was from a place of lack. It was from my father world. I was trying to find a man like my father, someone I would live for the acceptance of, no matter how much my emotions became suppressed. So then I have this child, and I find this path called twin flame. And I'm looking to find this for myself, and I start reading cards. And one of the people I've read for that I never thought would even believe in any of this, and he says he doesn't, is my father. I held up a dark mirror as the shadow priest who was trying to feel through what was the reason for the divide. I held up a dark mirror to my father's world, and while I said one thing through the definition, they saw another. It'd be like saying I have the 5 of Cups. And this is going back to the dual world so that you understand why I don't read in a dual world anymore. And I don't read for the land of terrorism. I held this card up to my father, and I'd say the 5 of Cups means accepting a loss. But the loss that you're accepting is an internal loss. It has nothing to do with your physical, because the things that are orchestrated around you are from the Most High. And the only thing that you can actually really change is the way that you show up for it. But because we like to fall a victim of our conditioning, meaning that someone has to be to blame in order for us to take power, we blame each other instead of blaming ourselves when we need to improve. So anyways, it leads to the separation of my parents, and as you can imagine, I feel every bit of responsibility for it because my mom was very depressed. Now, they separated really in 2012, like I told you, but the real separation never started until 2017 when that happened. So I've carried that responsibility, and a lot of people may know about it, some people don't know about it, and now the people who do know about it will create some sort of judgment on my release. But again, it's my story, and I'm here to share it in its entirety, because when I leave here, I won't have anything else to say, because my new world is here as well, but it's on the other timeline. I won't be a part of that old world anymore, and I don't see myself connecting with anyone who even partakes in it, because what those people want to do is blame someone else for their lack of accountability. Anyways, now I am here in my mother's world. I can't go to my father's world for help because I was very disrespectful and knowing that he didn't care about how she felt. He had given her all he thought he needed to make her happy, and that was enough. Now she's here, and I've seen her through her own happiness. I've seen my mom go through all of the hidden. You know how you're in the street and you put on your best fit? People put on their best face. But when it becomes dark and when it gets night, when the moon is up, people's emotions really come to the surface. And all that they're really fighting with, you can see. So I'm wearing it as if it's my own, and I'm receiving it because I know at some point I was a buffer between the two. What's the advice? It all came for our ascension. This is the Hierophant family, and you know the Hierophant is about spiritual growth. So if there's anything in your life that you feel regretful for walking away from, it was for your highest good. You don't have to feel the pain of the betrayal, because the betrayal was never yours to begin with. The people didn't want to see themselves, and they're still having a hard time taking their own power back. So someone will always be to blame until the people see their own light. Merging your timelines, though, I can tell you that your father world, the past world, the world where we lived for the validation of others, is one that we are getting so far away from, it seems like we're reckless. Like we'll do anything to break free of it. And that's what the people are doing. They're doing anything to break free of the box. Your mother world is still purging its loss. And I told you in the last video that was going to be the shift in our turnover. That the women now are going to be the ones to navigate the next world. Because where they've been given their thoughts and feelings to put together, they're then going to give space for the man to put his thoughts and feelings together too, by holding its time and space. It takes a lot for a man to surrender, my family. Because one thing we do know about this world is that the man has been given the very last to feel okay to relax. A lot of people are going to be triggered by that. A lot of people came for that old world family where they're okay with the sacrifice of another. They're okay with another person holding its frame and taking responsibility for its broken foundation. The women won't do that anymore in this world. They won't. They'll know that when I read to you the beginning, that that mom always feared the things she felt intuitively. You'll know that the intuition that you're getting is nothing but an alarm. It says, okay, take the right here, don't take the left. And you'll just stand firm in your being and saying, okay, this isn't a war against myself, so there's no war outside of me. So if I'm told to take a right, I take a right. And if I'm told to take a left, I take a left. And Dad always felt annoyed of the things he was accused of. So this time, Dad isn't going to be blamed for the way things are going. Instead, we're going to embrace its rise and fall until we can find its homeostasis. The influence of all of this is because now we see an opening in our realm. We see an open portal, some like to say. But we've done a lot of research, merging its timelines. We've looked into the past world, the ancient world, the biblical world. We've done our research, family. But there's an opening now in this portal because it's the year of 7 and we're getting out of the infinite loop. It's the year of 8 and then the twins will arise. Right now they're a little defensive, but they're actively holding true to their individual value so that when it's time for us to share our intuition, it will be of the Most High. What a message this one is, and it's very long, but I hope that it offers the truth and clarity that we need in order to make the next step in our ascension process. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful to all of you who play very, very big roles in this universal realm, right? We talked about being the human. We talked about being the God goddess. We're now fighting the universal war. We do this, family. And I told you how. We give ourselves the right to have no fear in moving forward. So ask every question you need. Because old Saint Nick was never real. They lied to you. He never gave you the gift. The gift was always within you.